Dude, I'm here.
I don't have video hype, but here I am.
Listen,
Video voice.
lower your voice.
I have a video voice.
Look at you.
I know I ain't got no
I
video
don't
voice.
have a video voice, but I'm here.
But we need Erica to come back because it's time.
Erica eating, okay? She ain't tripping off you.
Erica got the video voice for
She
everybody.
probably don't have her phone.
Come on, Erica.
Are we
Erica,
going live?
I think
We're
we live.
We're
We
live.
live 25 seconds ago. Come on, doctor. Come on, Dr. Shirley.
Give it together. Give it together, Mike.
There she go. There she
We're
go.
ready.
She did.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
She did look like.
She texted me twice, so that was like,
We're ready. Erica, we're live.
that was a quick 5 minutes.
That was a long Lois played. Hey, welcome. Surviving the podcast. This is Corey Wilson, and I feel like this is a great topic that much anticipated and we waited for a long time. This is season 2 of Surviving the Podcast, and everything about this season has been based around COVID. So we've been talking about the pandemic. We went through being a mother during the pandemic, an educator during the pandemic, the stimulus package during the pandemic, voting during the pandemic, frontline workers, and now we're here being Greek in the pandemic. And before we get into the trench of things, I'd like everybody to just introduce themselves, starting to my immediate right. That's Nikita.
Oh, that's me?
Yes.
Hello, good evening. My name is Nikita Phillips. Do you want us to say what organization we belong to?
You can.
And I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta.
Welcome.
Next.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adana Corbin, and I am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Good evening. My name is Erica A. McMillan, Miss Erica, Jalen's mom, EMAC, all of the above, and I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta.
Hello, hello. Maisha Butler, member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lynetta Honey, real last name, member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Zach Shirley, member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin D. Jackson, member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Antonio Everett, proud member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. I'll be Corey representing Me today. So as we get through this, since we are a visual podcast right now and we're going live, what I've been doing is I've been trying my best to educate the voters with as much information out there as possible. And so previously we were talking about how to register, where to register. We broke down the ballot. We broke down the electoral college. We did a few things, but now we're kind of in the trenches of things. And so, I know there's been a lot of experiences with this. Does anybody want to share, or they have any tips for people out there that's trying to early vote and they're having issues?
You know, I haven't seen any issues or anything. I went to vote on the first day, and I was glad to see a lot of the lines and everything. A lot of people are getting out and they're excited to vote. Some of that has kind of died down. So we definitely want to keep that energy going. And we definitely need an influx from people that are 18 through 29. We need them to make their way to the polls. And that's where we need a big influx of people all across the state of Texas and even the United States as a whole.
My wife.
Go ahead, Antonio.
My wife and I voted yesterday. I think it would be beneficial when people find these polls that are not packed, that they tell people, because some people are going to the same polls, they're packed, the lines are long. And then we got in yesterday with absolutely no wait. We got right in, right up. We didn't go in the main hours. We didn't go early in the morning, late in the evening, or lunchtime. We kind of picked the time around 2 o'clock where we figured it would be slowed down from the lunch and not picked up for the evening crowd. So I think just sharing best habits would be helpful.
I agree with going in the afternoon if you can. just take some time off from work if you're able to do so, and find that polling location that's not necessarily packed. And then to add on to what Ben mentioned earlier about the young people, for those who may not know, if you have a teenager in your house or in your family, or that you may know that's 17 to 10 months and will be 18 on election day, make sure they're registered to vote and take them down to the polls if they don't have their own car. Get them down there because they can vote. They are eligible.
Okay,
I would just say, just be prepared. You know, if you're getting out there, be ready. Have your mask, have your hand sanitizer, have your patience. You know, people are saying pack your patience with you. There's nothing worse than you getting out there and you getting angry because of lines that we know are out there, right? So we know that it's out there. So be patient and just be ready to vote. And this is a huge one. So it matters a lot. And let's be patient and get out there and get it done.
I would also like to add that for our elderly population, there are polling centers where if you are not able to get out of the car, that they actually have the polling stations that they can roll out to the car. So if you're a younger person and you're going to vote, take your grandmother, great grandma, all those people out, get them in the car. If you get them to the polling station, they can roll it out to the car. They don't have to get out. They don't have to sit and wait. They will bring it out and they can make their selections from the car with your mask on, and it's still socially, you have your social distance and everything and being safe. So that's something else to consider.
I would say, you know, to the point made earlier about, you know where these polling places are that don't have high traffic. I live in Las Colinas. I was going to a location where I knew I was probably going to stand in line for a couple of hours. I was on social media and saw one of my, somebody who's also Greek. He's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. He was like, I'm going to this location. And it's never a line. Like, use social media and get that word out there so people are able to know that instead of me standing in line for 2 hours, I stood in line for 15 minutes in and out. So use the power of social media, especially for our young people working with college students all the time, knowing that social media is their avenue. So put that out there as well.
And just also know that the outlying counties are really doing a great job of early voting, but I think that they're still struggling with Dallas County. From what I'm told, that the numbers are still kind of slowly coming in. So we just encourage Dallas County. I know that we are late voters and we are day of voters, but it's imperative because the African American community in Dallas County did not turn out to vote really in 2016 or 2018. And so this one is very important. So if there's any issues, if there's any doubt, if there's any questions, don't feel like you have to have all the answers. If you're somewhere and you feel like you may not be sure or you're not really sure what's going on, the internet is your friend. But if you know someone like in your church or if you know someone close to you that has already voted, please reach out. And also do your own. They have contact tracing for COVID. Do your own contact tracing for voting. If you make your own list, make you a tree, and you just check and people say, hey, did you vote? You'll be surprised how many people are still saying, I haven't got out there to do it yet. And just hold them accountable. It's really important. This is a very important election, and not only just for the president, but for the state of Texas. One of our senates are up for, one of the seats are up for Texas when it comes to the Senate, John Cornyn, and I'm not going to advocate against him, but I'm just saying we might need to look at someone else. He's been there for almost over 17 years. So enough with that. But also, there's a new particular ballot where they give it to you. It's a blank sheet of paper, and you go and insert it into the system, and you do your voting, and it spits it right back out to you. There's been places where people have been able to walk out with that because no one's been telling them to insert it into the election box or the ballot box. And when they try to go back in to insert it, they'll tell them that it's not considered a true vote, and they won't allow them to turn it in. So just be sure ask the question when you get that thing, because no one should walk out with a receipt of their vote. Yeah. That's not a receipt of who you voted for, and that's what they've been told in some locations. So you got a lot of voter suppression going on in a very legal and line. They're really towing that line. So we just want to educate our people.
Yes,
absolutely.
That's true, because
Can I say one thing, Corey?
That is the way I voted, and there should be someone there to instruct them to then place the ballot into the machine. So there should be someone there to stop them to do that.
Say, Nikita.
Right. The one thing I was going to say is that, and then also there's no straight party ticket anymore. So you have to vote for each individual candidate. And so we have to make sure that everybody is doing that and not going in there and thinking that they can just push. They tell you, but just still, you need to make sure that you vote for every particular candidate that you wish to vote for. And before you hit submit, you review and make sure that you click the right one and didn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
And the machine may click something different for you. But really, we got to promote sample ballots.
Yeah.
Sample ballots. You can go to www.ballotpedia.org or voteforone.com, any one of those websites, and you can pull your sample ballot for your particular area based on your street address and get that information so you can know before you go. So that's the most important part. And yes, the voting machines can be tricky and everything. So you got to ensure if they get busy, whatever the case, somebody can't be at the door, whatever the case may be, but we got to know before we go. Please don't take you can't take your cell phones in. There is no straight ticket or whatever the case may be. And so let's ensure we help our people out so they can try vote.
Absolutely.
County,
Y'all were saying voting machines. I got a ballot and had to fill it out like it was one of those old texts. I was trying to make sure I filled in the circle the whole way.
Wow.
And even with the machine, if you are looking for a specific candidate's name and it's not there, stop and ask them, because the machines do malfunction. I mean, there's fraud out there, but there's also, it's a machine. It can malfunction. If you're looking for a specific name and you don't see it there, stop. That's what they're there for. Those people who are working those polls are there to help you with that. Don't just go along and assume, oh, it's not there. Especially since you do not have the straight ticket. Just really stop and look. You have time. You got all the time once you get there to look at your ballot. Absolutely.
But I would hope that you don't live in Waxahachie and you're talking about you're looking for Colin Allred's name, who's on the North Dallas and everything, or you're looking for some other person's name. I want to vote for this specific person. If that person's not in your district, then that's not going to be on your ballot. So go ahead, Corey.
I just want to address Danielle Jackson Thomas. She said you can take your cell phone in. You cannot.
No,
they may have allowed you to take it in at that time.
You can
take it in, but you can't take it out.
You can't take it out. You can't take it has to be put away, and they will
be on
make
a piece of paper.
If you want to have a sample ballot, like Ben said, print that out ahead of time so you can know who you're voting for. But they will not. They can dismiss you from voting.
From voting.
And everybody doesn't have a printer, so you can't write it down on a piece of paper.
Yes,
right. You can't write it down.
Remove obstacles that can block us from taking the information in and not casting our vote.
Right.
She said, "I'm a poll worker." Yes, you can. Okay.
Let's err on the side of caution, though. We just want to
don't risk that. Don't risk that.
Right.
Yeah, let's err on the side of caution. Let's encourage the community that's watching the show that hey, keep your cell phone, because there's really no reason for you to take your cell phone out. I mean, while you're voting.
Right.
And we don't want any excuse for somebody to dismiss you from the poll, depending on where you're going to vote. So err on the side of caution. Don't bring your phone out to use it for notes. Write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah, and you have somebody maybe in South Dallas where they said I could take him up. We don't need those distractions.
Right.
No, we don't.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
But thank you so much, Danielle, knowing that that is an option. But like you said, err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
But this is great information.
What polling site does she work at?
Yeah, because obviously we're hearing conflicting messages. So I would agree. Let's err on the side of caution. Just write it down.
The good Richardson, they have signs that say no cell phones, and then the big man tells you when you come to the door, that's a nice iPhone. Can you put it in your pocket? There you go. Yes, I had to put it in my mama purse.
Yeah. So we just want to be awesome. So moving through, that was our voters moment. I just think it's important. And if you have any information, you can always email it to us. We shared real time with people. We do have a strong people. They will email us, and there'll be several questions that'll come in probably after this episode. But moving through, so we're here. She said Bell County, Fort Hood. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we all said that like we know. That's
where we are right now.
That's good for the military. So they may be getting out.
But up here in Las Colinas, Texas, They told me to put this good iPhone.
In Kaufman County,
nice iPhone.
In Denton County, no phones.
And I have it in Kaufman County either.
All elections are ran by the county, and all the rules are set. Some rules are set by the county.
Yeah.
Someone asked, hasn't the window deadline to register to vote in Texas for newbies passed already? It has.
Yes.
There's no one can register to vote anymore at this time. At this point,
come on, classmate. That was a good question.
They can register to vote,
but it won't
be able
to
vote.
Right.
Who was that big T the other day?
October 5th was that deadline.
Yeah, so we still register folks. So if you find somebody that's not registered, tell them to fill out the information so they can be ready for next year when we do
right.
And please don't make anyone feel small because they're not registered.
Absolutely
not. We want to encourage them. We're happy that just like someone joined the church, you're happy that they're finally coming into the house. Be happy that they're registering to vote. Like we can really shame each other sometimes. So I want to push that out there. So thank you guys so much for that. So now we're in the episode. This episode is being Greek in the pandemic. And one of the things about, we as organizations, we really are 100% for our communities. We work for our communities. Our service projects is geared around, so it's physical contact. We meet every month. And then if you're in committees in the organization, you meet multiple times beyond that. And so now that we're in a pandemic, social distance is intact. Let's talk about rediscovering our purpose as organizations and what truly matters to us during this pandemic. Like, what has changed for you guys?
I'll start with, for me, it was how can I make an impact without feeling like I can touch things, right? You can't be there, you can't be in front of people. So now it's about researching ways to still be impactful. Where are the needs that we can still get to without being, putting yourself at risk, right? Or in any danger. So, for me, that was first things first, because you kind of felt helpless in that moment of, first it was total isolation. You can't see anybody. Don't talk to anybody in person. Don't touch anybody because everybody's dying, right? Yes. And so then as things eased up, it became, okay, I want to get back to the service. I want to get back to, doing what I love to do. And all of us, when Corey said, you want to do this, I was like, well, how Greek do I need to be? Because I'm not party Greek anymore, right? So I didn't know what this was going to be about. But, I think we're all we're at that age now where we're like, hey, we want to get back to what why we're really here, which is the service part. Whichever service avenue you decided that, is your thing. It's something that we love to do. And it became very difficult to really understand what our place was if we can't be seen doing it anymore, or we can't be felt. So how do you get felt again by getting out there virtually and making a difference and making an impact in the places where you want to impact? And that was a big hurdle to get over.
Yeah. For me, it was the purpose hasn't changed. It was just really trying to go back to the drawing board and get creative. Okay, this is what we've been used to doing. So now we have to go and look at what's available to us now. It was, learning things that I had not done before, the use of social media and social platforms and coming up with other ways to still reach the communities because they're there. And there's still so many ways that we were not able to do. As an older person in the sorority, I consider myself an older person in the sorority, this is the time for the younger members of our organization. We can really use them and tap into them and connect with them to learn the technology. They're so technology savvy. These are things that they do every day. That's nothing. We've had to learn. I've had to learn really a lot of things that I didn't think I'd have to learn, but still be able to make that impact virtually. So just learning to use the virtual setting to still get the goals and the mission of my organization. That's what I think to be.
I would say for myself, that I'm a big supporter of all the organizations. Let's start there. So it's like I have my normal yearly routine. I'm gonna do J5 with the Kappas. I'm gonna end the year with the Alphas on December 4th. I'm gonna celebrate with every organization as if it was all January 13th. That's just what I'm going to do. And then it's like the Alphas have a scholarship program. I'm going to be there. The Zetas have a debutante. I'm going to send my money for that. The AKAs have a debutante. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at that. I'm going to be at all of these events supporting my brothers and sisters because that's how I was raised in Greek life to be supportive of the ones around you. And this year I wasn't having a problem staying at home because I work at home all day. But when those events started coming up and my memories started coming up in my Facebook, I was like, man, we supposed to be at the such and such and such and such today. So that's when I got in my feelings. And then with me being a collegiate advisor, we were doing membership intake, and I was just like, man, what you mean we finna do it virtual? So it's like, so then we had to figure out a way. Well, I didn't have to figure it out. I was told the way I was to do it. And I was like, is this gonna really work? And after I got out my feelings, it worked.
Yeah.
It was the part that we couldn't get was like you said, the touch, the hug, but we were still able to just embrace one another via the Zoom, try to explain to them what was really going on. And because they're younger and the University of YouTube has ruined everybody, they want what they see on YouTube in our life. And I'm like, this is what we really do in this life. Yeah, YouTube is the glitz and the glory, but this is what we really do.
Absolutely.
We are all raised in our organizations to get over that hump, fight through the trenches like a soldier. You missed that part. You right at the work, and that has really made me look at the way we do our organizations now, and it has made me closer to want to blend more and be more of an example. So
So I think I was just gonna say I think a lot of what Donna and Maisha said. I have the opportunity to work with collegiates every single day. From a professional standpoint, I'm a director for fraternity and sorority life. So we was trying to figure out in March what the fall was going to look like for Greek life at the University of North Texas. And for me, it has helped me not only rediscover really what the purpose of our organizations are. Right. Our founders didn't have social media. Our founders didn't have cell phones. Like you was writing letters and knocking on people's dorm room doors and like building relationships like that. And so for me, from an alumni chapter standpoint, to Maisha's point, I miss the service aspect. I miss all right, let's get out of the community and make a difference. But then I had to be an example to my collegiates, not just my collegiates of Signal, but my collegiates at University of North Texas from across the board, and be like, all right, how are we going to recruit? Well, recruit to your values.
Right.
Recruit to what our organizations were founded to do, and just because it looks different doesn't mean the mission, to Donna's point, the mission hasn't changed.
Right, it has not changed.
The purpose hasn't changed.
Nope.
And so we now have to be creative. And, there's a quote that I live by and I tell my students now, in times of change, the learners will inherit the earth and the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists.
You better preach.
Come on now.
These students are learning.
Right.
Where you find that at?
Come on,
let me copy that down.
I told y'all the good doctors speak.
You be reading books.
Be reading books and stuff. But yeah, I mean, literally, and I repeat it again. Those committed, in times of change, learners will inherit the earth. And the learned shall find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with the world that no longer exists.
Come on.
The world that we had.
Text that to me. Text it to me.
Back chapter 3, verse 3 through 6.
But the thing about it is that
that's a preach.
I feel like we got spoiled, y'all. Like we got spoiled with this ability to have social media and go out into the world. And again, our founders didn't have that.
They did.
No.
But now our undergraduates, down to your point, they're having to learn and teach us.
Yes.
I don't know how to do the little TikTok situation. I ain't with that.
Yeah.
Instagram is my name. For those of you who follow me. It's really taught us how to be like, all right, if we want our organization to survive, if it's virtual intake, all right, how many of our MPAC organizations on a PWI especially can survive without undergraduate intake for a year?
Exactly.
If we didn't do intake in fall and spring, you think in fall 2021 we'd be coming back with a chapter? I'm here to tell you from a professional standpoint, we wouldn't.
Nope.
So we had to learn. And so now we're learning.
Yeah.
And what I want to say to that is, we are privileged. The good doctor and myself, we are privileged to affiliate with schools who are very supportive of NPHC. Because it's like the minute it all shut down and everybody was saying no recruitment, no intake, no this, they were like, what y'all doing? What's going on? How you gonna do this? What y'all need? Do you need the school to set up the Zoom? Do you need the school to set up Teams? We'll pay for it. Like they were, the school I advise at, they was trying to pay for Zoom, Microsoft Teams. They was like, what materials you need to get the girls to send the girls so they could do you want us to pay for that? I was like, you know what? Yeah, send us a check for this.
Yes, send us all that. Send us all that. We don't need it, but send it to us.
But Nikita, you trying to say something?
Oh, I was, but no, okay. No, the one thing I was going to say is that I get what you guys are saying, that we need to embrace the collegiates and the undergrads to have them help us, but at the same time, the alumni soars and members of the organization need to acquiesce and learn how to do it too, because we're resilient organizations. And the grad chapters need to learn how to function within this environment as well, or else they will have a tough time executing their service projects and things of that nature too. So it's great to say, the undergrads, this, that, and the other, but we can't leave out the grad chapters and knowing that they too need to rise to the occasion and pivot on a dime and learn how to navigate this arena we're in.
Yeah.
But a lot of
that was my point. That was my point. That as in an alumni chapter, that's what it's been a moment to actually find another way to connect with undergrads, which can sometimes be an issue on this matter of bringing them in to teach us as we learn too. It's learning from within. So.
But a lot of our grad chapters, they did a pause, but they did pivot, and so we took our programs like we're doing right now online.
Right.
So you can do financial learning online. You could talk about important issues that are concerning the community online. And so that's how our grad chapters remain vibrant in this pandemic. Our undergrad chapters, some of them, like the one I support, they kind of shrunk in this space because even though they're on technology, they're on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and I don't know why they didn't excel in a space that everybody's online, but that communal feeling has gone away. And so without them seeing each other, hanging around each other, they felt like, well, I shouldn't do anything. And this is the time where they got to really excel, because this is how y'all connect to people through FaceTime or whatever the case may be. Use that technology as a way. I see another chapter doing a versus battle, one chapter versus another. And I guess they play songs and everything like that. So there are so many ideas that can be birthed out of this pandemic. Otherwise, which would have never happened had we not had this pandemic at all. So it's all about thinking outside of the box, not remaining within the box, and ensuring that the best ideas come to the forefront and they put it out there, and let's see who gets out there and make it happen.
Ben, I totally agree with that. I was going to say that I think that what we're failing to see is the silver lining in all of this is we're able to connect in ways that we couldn't before, or we didn't think about before. I can support chapters in New York. I can support people all over the globe now, whereas I was limited to to my own surroundings. I've got kids, I got a job, I can't get to everybody's everything. I have time to go to your event, because I could just sit down and do it now while I'm cooking dinner and doing everything else, right? So I feel like I'm in the position now where I can support more now than I could before, because it takes less physical energy for me to have to be able to go and support all the members of the Divine Nine, as opposed to being able to now I don't have any excuse. I'm coming, so let's get it done together. I feel like this could be a way for us to unite in a strong way, because there was a time where you only have so much time in a day to get to so many places, and so now I think we have more opportunities to show love and to show support to one another.
Well, I'll say that. I'm gonna cry me a river about it, because I don't send dog 813. I just I hate not getting to see everybody. This time of year, the AKs would have had their event, Grandma Rose would have had their event, the Deltas would have been gearing up for Founders Day, Zetas would have been gearing up for Founders Day coming in January, and we just miss seeing everybody. Just the whole homecoming, being an HBCU graduate, not getting homecoming. And then just getting, it's like, especially in my organization, we always cry about not getting the information. Everybody doesn't know everything. Now I'm getting too much information, too many emails. I'm getting 20 emails from Capital a day. I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to just go back to the meetings because I like getting all my information at one time. So it has been good. But and my wife's in higher education, like some of you guys, she's at home every day. I'm just ready to get back to I'm ready to get back to normal. Ready to get back to normal.
Conversation.
You say you want to go to
another
and
conversation.
one thing to what Maisha said was also as far as that availability and being able to join in throughout your organization is also getting people to join in and to contribute. Speakers, people are so much more available now because
they are.
It's easier to get how many people
you can
to speak for your events. I mean, for leadership, for trainings, for mentorship, all those things. These people are available now, and they're looking for the opportunity. You got, people who are writing authors. You have everybody, personalities. They are eager, and you can get them for a good discount to participate and be a part of, your events and your organization. So that's something else that has been a positive.
Yeah, that's definitely
great quality of, presenters and people like that to participate and add to your virtual programs.
We touched on it a bit. I think everybody kind of skirted and jumped around a bit when it came to intake. And I know the big thing is virtual intake. That's a really big hot button item because everybody's about this, the process, etc. But how do we truly embrace what we're in, prepare for the future for what we're in case this happens again or doesn't go away for 2021? Because, our president thought it was going to go away in October. That's why a lot of the funds ran out for most.
Didn't he say Easter the first time? It was Easter, I think it was.
When it got hot. It got hot.
Yeah, it got hot. But
it's going to go away.
They thought that we would officially be back to normal by October. But this looks like it's going to be here through the winter, probably to next summer. How do we embrace, because the collegiates are the lifeline of our organizations. That's who we build up to preserve the legacy we reach back. How do we get into that? Because like Ben just touched on, some of the kids feel like, okay, we on COVID, we on break. And they're not really adjusting to it. Like the alumni chapters are trying to skirt around it, work their way through it, try to still be present. What are we doing and how do we preserve the integrity for the next 100 years to face something like this? Because like Brother Zach said, it's going to look different, especially for a PWI campus, especially like in Dallas, Texas. We don't have a major HBC, like a heavy hitting HBCU that we can all just wrap behind.
Hold on, wait a minute, hold on.
I knew he was coming.
Hold on.
Pull back. Because what I'm saying is, pull back. We love Paul Quinn, but I'm saying, like someone touched earlier, that most HBCUs can sustain holding off intake because they've already had a line of 35 or 50 or whatever, and they can skirt for 2 years or so. But a college like Paul Quinn, they may have 10 or 15, but those people will be matriculating or graduating, and it won't be the same. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, in Dallas specifically, we are surrounded by majority PWIs, and a lot of our chapters, we all come around as alumni chapters to embrace them, the UNTs, the UTDs, the SMUs. So how do we preserve our legacy in something like this without saying hold off on intake, or without saying, hey, virtual intakes forever? What are we doing? Anybody can touch on that?
So
first of all, let me say something real quick.
Okay.
This the advisor head. Let me touch on. Let's start here. Everybody here crossed in 90 something or the early 2000s. So I know when I had the people who were helping me with virtual intake, I had to remind them, especially this past one, because I ended up doing 2 schools at the same time. And we had to remind them, first of all, this is not your intake process. It's not going to ever be like your intake process. And even before the virtual, it wasn't your intake process. So once the adults embrace that side of it, that way it will give us a better way to execute what we really want them to learn and how we want them to do it. Like, you can't be in your feelings because you want a process like this. Because if you're joining this organization for the purpose of the organization, it doesn't matter what your intake process is. The end line is once you kneel down, you give that oath, you say, hey, I'm a member. They tell you you are a member of this organization, and you get out and do the work. Then that's what it's about. It's about you doing the work. It's because getting in the organization is really, I'm not gonna say the hardest part, but that's just a step. Staying in and continuing to uplift your organization. That's where the work come in. So the way that getting in, that's not what's important. It's staying in and executing the work.
And I tell you, collegiate is temporary. Your lifeline in this organization is forever.
Right.
2001 Gamma Kappa, love fall 2001, love Gamma Kappa. But guess what? I spent the majority of my time, and will spend the majority of my time in Omicron City as an alumni member.
Yep.
And as somebody, as a university administrator, I tell my students right now, I tell the chapter to this day, is it about the lifeblood of your chapter and your organization on this campus? Or is it about you wanting them to have a probate show and have a real process, which we're going to talk about a real process offline individuals in this organization, because ain't nobody having a real process these days. But anyway.
It's real according to what the books say.
Right.
Because in the end, we all got paper.
We all paper. We all got paper. So, but I think that it's also helping them.
Can I ask you a question? How can we even talk about having virtual process if students aren't even on campus?
Right.
I mean, they're doing virtual learning.
If you don't have schools, be right. So my thing is, we're putting the cart before the horse. First, we got to make sure that students are safe and can get to campus. And then once they get to campus, their first priority should be, it should be education. But the thing is, the virtual process is going to be what it's going to be. We're going to have to, we're going to have to adjust,
adapt,
and redefine how the process is done. But first, we got to get students back on campus.
And I think we also need to take away the description of, because I think students are hung up on this virtual process. This is your process.
Yeah, it is.
Period. This is your process. Versus you joined in the early 90s, you had, or the 80s, you had an above ground process versus MIP versus what it is now. The end goal, to Emac's point, is you remember the organization.
Right.
Your lifelong affiliation with this fraternity or sorority is what it is. You didn't join to have this fancy line jacket, this probate show, these flashy events on campus. And if you did, you joined for the wrong reason.
The wrong reason, yeah.
Because once you get to our age, it ain't like Baisha said, we ain't no undergrad party Greeks no more. I go to bed at 9 o'clock and I enjoy that. So
can't wait to get out there and go to bed.
I think a lot of the responsibility comes down to the older members of that chapter. Like in my school, we have a group meet with all the people who came through in the spring. That way we have conversations with them, because it's not about the process. It's about understanding moving forward for the next 70 years, how to conduct yourself, what we expect from you from joining this chapter. So I think the older people who have come before them in those chapters have to be responsible and have, be involved in the process. And like you said, group me. This technology now, we have Zoom sessions. We have a group meet with the people in our chapter and the new initiates. So it's a community effort to make sure these chapters survive at these campuses.
But we would be remiss if we pretended like we didn't get it. We understand those who are saying, death to the virtual process. We get it. I understand where that sentiment comes from, right? We gotta rise above it. We gotta understand that this isn't by choice, and we have to understand that that's what the times call for. If you think about how the Greeks of 1980 looked at those of us who were made in 1999, and we got over it, right? I'm 99, and I don't care nothing about what nobody from 1980 says about their process versus, what they think happened in 1999, right? So I am hoping that those who are choosing to have, to come through a virtual process are treated with the same respect And that same, that dignity that you wanted when you walked, when you came into your organization, however you came into your organization. Yep. We got to get grown and understand that this is about the future of our organization so that we can continue to do the work. And so if that is the way that, think because of the times that we're in, then we have to adapt.
Maisha, I think to your point, it's like you said, 19-year-olds, they ain't gonna see the future. And that's why it's important that the older people who have come before them get involved, because they're not gonna have foresight. And somebody's gonna have to give them that vision, like, hey, I don't care what happened last year. This year, this is what's gonna happen. And this is what's required to move forward for our chapter. Because my shirt say 70 years. It didn't say
it. And they don't want their degree to mean any less because they got their degree doing virtual learning, right? Exactly. So you got the rest of your degree learning virtually, but you want to, down someone who is going to, become a part of that organization virtually. So does your degree mean less than the people that got their degree before you because they went to class?
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's about mentorship. It's about mentorship. It's about mentorship. It's those who come before, the ones who are coming in. It's about effective mentorship. And like Erica said, you set the tone. Whatever the process is going to be for whatever organization, it's about it's about mentorship. Those who are there to be in the right mindset to mentor those who are coming in and focus on the priorities, which is what we all are here for service.
But see, it's those African. Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But those African Americans that y'all speaking of, talking about mentorship and everything, those are the people who have the hangups. It's not the 19-year-olds. It's the ones who've been in the organization for a while. They're the ones that look at it and saying they're not ready,
like Erica said,
and everything. And they're the ones that need to transition, circulate, and to be able to grow. And so how do you help them in that space, navigate this space to where we are now? And if we're looking at our organizations lasting for another 100 years, we cannot minimize that virtual space and bringing people in, because that's so pivotal and important when you're bringing a member into the organization, that we nurture that space and ensure that they're getting the information that they need to get, because that's the part that's going to change them to when they actually become a member of the organization. So that's one piece, but we got to talk about us and we got to keep it real with us, because a lot of people are not really feeling this virtual.
Right. Well, I can say if you're like me and you one of the people that's in the in-between line, you can be a liaison. This is where you step up to the plate and be a liaison. If you're about the mentorship for our younger members, sorors and fratters, give out your number. I know you probably already have given your number out if you know that you're the liaison. And if you know that the older sorors and frats are like, they having a hard time with it, you know how to caress that situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Put on your childish voice, like
that good teacher
back, and let them know, hey, we have to do it this way. And if they don't want to pivot, bring in more of those who are like you to be the liaison to outnumber all of that backlash or that negativity. Because if all of the liaisons are working and doing all the work, all that negativity is just echo in the background. It's not gonna matter anyway, and you can push ahead.
And don't be afraid to speak to anyone else, because everybody knows me. I will talk to a Delta all day long, but if an AKA, Zeta, Sigma, Gamma, Rho, Alpha, Kappa, anybody else be acting foolish, I'm gonna be like, this really bad. It's just like when you raise kids, you don't want to talk bad or talk crazy to anybody kid, but if they ain't doing right, they're not doing right.
You're right.
I want to say this. And I'm just being as real as I can. It might upset some people. I see some comments in the comments, and I'm just really not understanding. This is what I'm saying. We in a pandemic. And we out here accusing Donald Trump of being irresponsible with the lives of others. And so we want him to adapt in real life. Now, these organizations, we are the talented 10, but we're not immune to COVID. So how else will we make members? So you want to shut everything down. We know the organization survive off intake. We know that the legacy of our organization. So we need to adjust. And so when you sit in here saying, I don't want intake, I don't want virtual because they need to be made and this and this and that pivot,
you don't want your organization
a whole different level. We have to check each other. We have to stand here and realize this is not going away. We didn't ask for COVID. we hope they're not here forever, but they don't have a cure. And so so if we shut down, if everybody shut down intake and your organization say, I need you to donate $5,000 a member, existing member, would you actually pay that? Because we're trying to reclaim people as is. And so we need to make sure that the headquarters, which is the lifeline, is able to survive. And so when we sit here and we gotta come in here and say, oh, I'm not with it. I can't. It does not go against. It goes against the narrative what we're trying to say, preserve our legacy. This is a moment in time. We have to adapt. And it's not just us. It's not just the organizations. This is life. Like Nikita said, first things first, all these kids are not even in college.
Yeah, they got to go to school.
Brother Shirley, his job is hard. How do you even set up recruitment? Or how do you even set up an open house without it being virtual? So it's a lot of things we have to adjust to. And so we're not saying permanently, oh yeah, everybody's going to be internet made or whatever the case may be. We have to stop talking that talk, because what happens is we make them feel like they're less than when they come apart, and then they disappear. And then we got to reach back and say, like, hey, I respect you. We shouldn't even be having this conversation.
Right.
It should be like, hey, this is something we got to adjust to. What you need me to do? Because I love my organization. But we
Corey, that sounds like so and so did this to me, so I'm gonna do this to you. That don't even make sense. Like
it don't make sense. And then I just said organization survive off intake. We'll talk about financial stability later, but we're just saying right now. So cut off intake. And so I know several members of my organization are not millionaires. They can barely pay their bills because we're in a freaking pandemic. People are unemployed. People are not getting a check like normal. So we cut this off. So everything we gut everything. And I say, okay, give me $5,000. Then y'all will be saying, they called me asking me for 5 G's. I can't.
No, it don't even have to be 5. It could be 100.
Where are these kids getting this money for intake? Where are they getting this money from? Money tight everywhere.
But on the flip side, this is the thing though. Corey, you talking about our organization surviving. I know every organization on here has a ton of members who are not financial. We need to spend a lot more time on reclamation on the graduate level and get some of those people back into the organization to help sustain until we can get the collegiates back to a place where they can routinely have intake. So we have the methods and the means to survive.
Dr. Phillips, to your point, I had a conversation with someone the other day and I said, hey, did you pay your dues? And she said, oh no, I didn't pay my dues. I said, why not? Oh, well, we're not doing nothing but meeting online. I said, but you're not gonna pay your dues. I said, but you're not gonna pay your dues just because we're meeting online. We're still producing that income,
doing service. We're still doing,
and it's still service being done virtually.
Service. We still finna do these turkey baskets for these people in November. I need.
We still raising funds for scholarships. We still giving out scholarships.
What does not end?
So what?
And Nikita, I'm glad you said that, because I do believe that we should focus more on reclamation. We should focus on restoring some of our older members who are lost by the wayside. That should be our main focus as headquarters. But I'm just saying, for the thought of if someone was to happen to have intake, and there is a process that headquarters have deemed a fitting intake process for that organization, we should not be out here creating a narrative as all members saying, "Oh, that's not legit."
That's not legit.
I agree.
Nikita,
I agree 100%.
Because I'm going to caveat until fundraising. We're talking about how some of the challenges that we're hitting as organizations, because nothing's free in life but salvation, but we really focus on scholarship. We focus on everything out, and it requires funds. And I know, like Erica said, when we know January to December, there's botillions, there's scholarship, and there's all types of events that bring in money for us to source to our communities. So being that we are kind of stifled to those physical, like Sadaka said, we can't come out there anymore and give it to them, because we all sitting out on that patio and having the barbecue man. Right. So what are we right down to, like, turn that
community outreach?
We can still continue to support our communities, bring in the funds with our tax and members, and what's out there, like, what does that look like for us?
I'm telling you, it's possible because we have an organization, our 501c3 has the best fundraising activity online with just a DJ and folks signed into Zoom, and they raise thousands of dollars. It is possible. The thing is, you have to make sure that you have a sound social media presence as your chapter. You have to make sure that you market appropriately. And the thing is, you can tap into folks all across the country. Your family, my family in California, can come to a fundraiser that I'm having in Dallas via Zoom. You don't have to pay no airfare ticket, so that money can go towards the fundraising. So it is possible, and we are doing it. We just more folks just need to get their social media presence up to par so that they can reach those folks. Like Maisha said, you can go to 3 or 4 events in the same day.
And then to Maisha's point earlier, with the fundraising, you can cast your net even wider now that you're virtual, because corporations will probably be more apt to support you. Again, it's virtual. So all they have to do is log on to something. If you have someone who can do grant writing, I know I've seen a lot of grant writing expertise across the interwebs here lately. So find somebody that knows how to do the grant writing, because again, they're not paying for any kind of corporate travel, honestly. So there's money in some budgets being moved around on these corporate levels that our organizations and other nonprofits out here in the community can get some change for on their 501c3, so we can give out these scholarships and all, you know.
And you can make more money because you don't have the overhead. You don't have to rent a facility.
Absolutely.
Folks aren't going, you don't have to buy tickets, all of that.
This is a time for companies who are definitely looking for partnerships because they still want to get their name out there. They still have, we're talking about, these big companies not paying taxes, but they still got taxes to pay and they need write-offs. So this is an opportunity for you to reach out, like you said, writing together, get those proposals, reach out to those big companies, company matching, because the other part to that is we are in a pandemic and our members don't have the money that they have. Also, so you got to keep that in mind too. You can't keep digging in the members' pockets too, because they're strapped also. So that's where you go into a lot of partnerships with your community. You're giving, if it's giving a free advertisement for in-kind gifts, just using your foundations. Like there's a lot of ways to leverage your impact in the community for fundraising activities also. And like you said, there's a lot of overhead you don't have to do now. You don't have to pay for venues and food and banquets and all that. So you can, spend less
and collaborate.
Collaborate. I was going to say other organizations. Collaborate with other organizations. That's the way. We're all, like you said, we're all in the same boat. We're all strapped for funds. So here's an opportunity to really work on partnerships. Just trying to find ways to save your chapter members' money.
But no one spoke about Amazon Prime and the 3% they give back to the community if you have a 501c3. So that's another thing. Panda Express sent out an email the other day where if you have people come in, purchase their food, because a lot of people are tired of cooking, staying in, and they want to get something outside. They had a fundraiser as well, purchasing food, give back to your organization. So there's several different ways that we can get out of the box to bring more money back into the organization. We just got to be able to have the data substantiate the work that we've done in the past and be able to provide them. This is what we bring to the community. Walmart is making a ton of money, and I know they have money to give back to community partnerships. Target, we just got to tap into those managers of those stores because they have discretionary funds that they're able to give. Who can go there with a recitation and ask, we're doing this for the community. We're doing turkey baskets that are coming up. Walmart, can you sponsor some things? Williams Chicken is a good provider for the community, and donating throughout the community, providing jobs for the community. And so, they are also looking for partnerships there. And that's a black business with a black organization. So definitely we can do our part and also shop and buy from Williams as well. But that's what we do. We're looking for those partnerships and leverage those relationships so that we can bring dollars back into our organization.
Absolutely.
And there are so many things you can do, even in the community. We had a drive-by voter registration. It was awesome. And so you can still do food giveaways. There are a lot of things you can do and remain socially distant as long as you're in compliance with your organization. But there are a lot of things that we still can do in terms of raising money too.
True, but you know what? We had a pause, but we did pivot. So we were still doing service. So all of the grad chapters in the Dallas-Fort Worth area were still doing voter registration drive, food,
absolutely,
distribution. Yes. We were still out there doing all of that and everything, just as long as you got your mask and your gloves on. So we've been providing service even during a pandemic because we understand what's at stake with this election. We understand that we got to get people involved, and we can't allow. When you look at Martin Luther King, Dr. King didn't live to 40. When you look at Medgar Evers didn't live to 40. And every time they went out there and registered people to vote, their lives were on the line, just like our lives are on the line. So this pandemic is real. So make sure you wear your mask. Make sure you have your sanitizer and your gloves. But we got to get out there and continue to provide this service and bring the advocacy and the change we want to see in our community.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, this is gonna be a part 2 episode because we're almost out of time and we haven't even gotten through half of
bring us all back together.
But I'm going to find a way to bring you all back because this is a very good panel. I mean, you guys are all hard working for your organizations. You guys are, you know, just a ton of knowledge right in this group right here. But we do have a question saying, what are the unique ways or organizations mentoring youth during these times? Kids may be zoomed out, so I would like to know any additional ways that we are mentoring the youth. Anybody can touch on that?
On Mondays at the Church of Friendship West, we have a mentoring ministry called DIOP. And with your Zoom calls, you have to make them fun. Using Kahoot, using the annotation where they can draw Pictionary on the screen, using things where they're doing a scavenger hunt within the house. And so even with Alpha Merit, through our graduate chapter, they've been using this and the kids are enjoying it and they think it's fun because you got to add a fun component as well as trying to teach them some educational pieces with it as well. So Zoom, they may be zoomed out, but when they're coming to their space, it's got to be something fun and entertaining, and educational all the while.
Same here. With us, we have our auxiliary groups. All of us do. And our club, our rower club, is super active still in Dallas. They're doing something at least once a month. And like someone alluded to earlier, you know, we've got guest speakers that, you know, they're coming now because they don't have a whole lot else to do, right? So, you know, bring things that are exciting to the youth, you know, and then also don't negate the power of what they bring to the table. So have them lead things, you know. Absolutely. So they're there for each other to support one another as well. We've had our girls teach each other how to cook, you know, or surprise drop-offs of certain things, you know, and so it's something in it for them still. You just have to figure out what's going to get them back excited because they are zoomed out. So are we. You know, we have companies that they want to do a Zoom happy hour after I've been on Zoom with y'all all day until 6 o'clock. I don't want to go that, right? So, but if you tell me it's something in it for me, I can win a gift card by coming. I'm a log on in because I love the gift cards, right? So you have to remember,
Ben got money.
My dues money.
Okay.
But you got, you're right, Maisha. You got to be interactive. You got to make it fun, just like Ben said, in order to keep you engaged and keep the kids engaged too.
Right. Our youth group for one of the things we have is celebration of the Harlem Renaissance. And so we did, you know how you do the painting classes, you know, you can do the painting classes where we actually found a Black-owned business who would actually design a painting, you know, from the Harlem Renaissance, and they were able to ship them to the family's houses. They come to pick them up, and they did a Zoom painting class via Zoom, but that was more fun. So it's music in the background, they're painting, but it was educational at the same time. Plus it was fun. It wasn't just them on Zoom looking, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So it's something that they could keep. It's educational, and it's a little twist on still using, you know, the social platforms.
And then with our youth auxiliary groups, it's also good for the advisors to let the participants know that you're still thinking of them. Our advisors for our auxiliaries actually sent care packages to the members of our auxiliary groups. So the girls were very excited when they received it because it was a surprise. So in addition to letting the auxiliary groups choose their programming and what platform they want to use, just show that you actually care, that you're thinking of them as well in the midst of not being able to see them or meet with them in person all the time.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I it's so much to unpack with this group, but we're going to end it here because we are trying to keep it to an hour. But I want to thank my panel. We will be back, people, for a part 2 because there's a lot. Like I said, I have a lot of questions, and I appreciate those who tuning in. And I don't want anybody to feel like they're slighted because they're giving their opinions in a chat. We welcome all of that because we are really, really important to our communities as organizations, and we want to make sure the next generation can experience all 9 of us, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing and we're aligning ourselves to be prepared for something that may happen like this again, because it was 1918 at one point, and now we're in 2020. So we don't know what the future looks like in the process of this. So we want to be diligent and also just don't mind, failing fast, don't mind learning things off the cuff and working with one another. And outside of working with each other's organizations, there are also other organizations out there that looks to partner up with African American business.
Absolutely.
Like Amazon,
they're waiting.
Amazon Prime. Amazon, as an employee of Amazon, we have
shameless plug.
I know.
There you go.
He has earmarked $100 million to the African American community. So he's been pouring a lot, like silently, but everyone always talks about just the United Negro College Fund, things like that. So we as African American employees, we have been educating Amazon that there's more than that out there. So there's a lot of monies and there's a lot of opportunities for us to really excel in this time when it comes to fundraising, financial, and all. So any last words from anybody before we end this?
Yeah, Ben, I just wanted to know about that money you have held up.
And Ben, tell us about the money.
Right. Corey said Basil is giving out money, and y'all have to be Basil.
I mean,
these are coming up in December. It's coming up.
Are you taking cash out?
Yes, right.
But no,
seriously,
with all seriousness, you all, please, let's get our community out and go vote.
Yes.
There's so many that have not voted.
Go vote.
October the 30th, but let's not wait until the last minute. Schedule your time and make sure you get out there and go vote.
Absolutely. Yeah,
right.
I want to say this is the most important
And if
election of our
if you've
lifetime.
already voted, take somebody.
Yeah, if you already voted, every election is important.
Young and old, go vote.
I'm driving people to the polls on election day. I've already voted, but I'm willing to drive people to the polls.
Darn it, free on November the 3rd if you need a ride to the polls. Lyft and them have a couple of discounts if you need rides to the polls, a round trip on election day, but we're not waiting till election day. We need everybody to get out there.
Yes, go vote early.
Everybody get out there.
And some of those popular polling stations, you want to get out there and, probably bring you a box of snacks from Sam's and hand out waters, etc. That'd be great too, because people are doing that. I think there's a black woman, she took off and she cooked the whole week. And she's been delivering sandwiches, etc., like that. And I wouldn't do that due to COVID. People don't want to trust each other. But like I said, if you get some packaged chips or water, just make some. People will, because some of those areas are very, very crowded, and some are, like I said, it took me 2.5 hours, and I'm in Collin County. But some people went in 5 minutes. So those very, very heavy areas, if we want to get together and just pour back into those, it'd be great.
But this Sunday is Souls to the Polls, and we're getting our seniors of our mentoring group. We're doing water stations, and anybody
that information too.
Anybody that has a group, our organization's water stations are definitely going to be needed on November the 3rd. Set up a water station; they can have chips, water, socially distanced. Let's get that out. So there's going to be long lines on November the 3rd. But don't allow the long lines to prevent you to go.
Pack your patience. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it done.
That's out there.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all. And until next time, I'm in.